fast food is collapsing.
A double downgrade for McDonald.
As U.S. same-store sales suffer their biggest drop in 5 years.
We're really talking about a fast food market that is basically tanking right now.
From McDonald's to Jack in the Box, revenue at nearly every fast food chain is dropping fast. And it's not getting better anytime soon.
There's a lot of restaurants out there. So they're going to probably be break even or losing money.
That's Bob Shallow, a fast food expert who's operated many of the biggest brands. With the help of his insider knowledge, I'll take you through this collapse from start to finish and uncover the 3 driving forces behind it. And then we'll see what's in store for the future of fast food.
And so you see that in a lot of restaurants or a lot of brands that may be struggling a little bit in their sales. It can get you into what I call a death spiral.
The starting lineups are on the floor, and here comes Michael Jordan.
You eat that pizza the wrong way.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
The glory days of fast food are firmly behind us. Once busy restaurants are vacant, and turnaround campaigns are now the norm. Because regardless of the brand, the story from customers is the same. Prices are too high.
We have to talk about these McDonald's prices.
Tell me why it was $17 for 3 fillet of fishes.
Y'all don't forget who you were. Y'all not supposed to be expensive.
Fast food prices have gone up across the board, with McDonald's leading the charge. They've driven who is historically their biggest customer, the low-income consumer, to abandon the category. Chains are in panic mode over this. Even McDonald's CEO is commenting on this in the most recent earnings call.
Certainly, overall QSR traffic in the U.S. remained challenging as visits across the industry by low-income consumers once again declined by double digits versus the prior year period.
Now, you might be thinking that these big companies got greedy and are just getting what they deserve until they lower prices again. But that's not really the case. There's a lot more going on here, and it starts with this chart. Over 95% of fast food locations are owned by franchisees, not the corporation that sits above them. And it's the franchisees who control their own pricing. So if price hikes are the reason fast food is losing customers, the question becomes, why did franchisees across the country start raising prices like never before? That is exactly what I asked Bob. Listen to what he says, and I'll break it down after.
We have the same inflationary pressures that the entire industry is right now. And so previously, there was a lot of pressures on, especially in California, on labor. Labor costs continued to increase every year, but for several years, we kept the line on commodities and COGS. But unfortunately, in the last couple of years, the inflation hit food as well. So you always had the inflationary of labor that you basically, thank goodness, COGS wasn't going up as fast. And then unfortunately, in the last year plus, COGS started matching what labor was doing for several years. So you got double hit.
Bob is talking about 2 of the biggest costs to running a restaurant, labor and food. And both have exploded in the last 5 years. Starting during COVID, franchisees had to pay more to keep their frontline workers. And since then, wages have only gone higher. Now, beef and chicken costs are also rising just as fast, for a variety of reasons. This double hit is brutal. Labor and food inflation are outpacing general inflation by 2 to 3 times. Now, to understand the pressure this really puts on a fast food owner, listen to Michael Horowitz, a Harvard MBA who owned 20 Wingstops, explain how it impacted his business.
And so literally over 5 years, I think our cheapest food cost a month was around 32% of sales, and our most expensive was probably 43, 44. So that's the entire profit margin of most restaurants in that gap.
So as you heard, the average fast food margin is just 10%. A 10% jump in food costs can then erase 100% of profits. So between food costs and the rising wages, it's no wonder menu prices have skyrocketed. When you add general inflation to the rest of the costs, franchisees have had to increase prices by at least 33% since 2020 just to keep that same 10% profit margin. But that doesn't include debt payments, required remodels that are expensive, and the rising impact of delivery fees from third parties that I want to talk about in an entirely separate video. But here's the thing, the tough environment isn't a total get out of jail free card, because an overpricing has definitely happened at times. The infamous $18 Big Mac at a Connecticut McDonald's is a great example. But the public outrage to these prices isn't the worst part for the fast food owners. It's the domino effect that has been set in motion because of it. And it's accelerating the collapse, because now customers are asking themselves the question, what is fast food actually worth?
It's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret?
Fast food was built on being cheap, but now that it isn't, customers are starting to rethink the value they're actually getting. It's an important distinction. Plenty of restaurants can charge $18 for a burger, but only if the experience justifies it. And in recent years, the fast food experience has only gotten worse. And it turns out, the rising labor and food costs are actually a big reason why.
We are QSR, after all, we're supposed to be quick serve. But if you go to a restaurant, all of a sudden you order one of the premium items, and now you're sitting at the drive-through window for 6 or 7 minutes, it means they either don't have enough labor in there, they pulled that lever, or they didn't have the product up and they're now frying it to order, then assembling it and getting to you. Your food might taste great, but it's definitely not the way the model was designed to operate.
What Bob is saying is that as a response to these rising costs to their business, the franchisees are starting to cut corners. They're running with fewer staff on every shift. The employees that do come in are now overworked. They're not prepping that expensive chicken sandwich because they don't want to have to throw it out later in case customers don't order it. And that result is impacting every facet of the experience. The prices were already up, but now the experience is slower and the employees are visibly unhappy to even be there. And because of this, the final domino is starting to fall, or as Bob calls it, the death spiral.
So if you're waiting in the drive-thru for 12 minutes, you're at the window and they haven't pulled you forward, or a lot of times they're cooking to order to reduce their waste. And so you see that in a lot of restaurants or a lot of brands that may be struggling a little bit in their sales. Some organizations will start minimizing how much they have up and ready. And it can get you into what I call a death spiral. It's like your times go up, you're not as able to push as many cars through during your peak periods. It all works together.
The interconnectedness of a fast food restaurant is now working against most of these franchisees. And this death spiral will put a lot of them out of business in the coming years. And it's actually already happening. Fast food owners, both the big ones and small, are going bankrupt at a record pace. Increased prices with worse service is a recipe for disaster. Only the strongest operators and brands are going to survive. So I don't expect a brand like McDonald's to disappear. They've already been on a full-scale blitz of value deals to try and win back customers and their reputation for being affordable. I also think regional brands that have a strong customer loyalty and better economics to actually weather this storm pretty well. But there's a handful of legacy brands whose reputation and economics have been stagnant or declining for years. These are the ones with no wiggle room on their existing profit margins. And it's them who are at most risk of this death spiral. For this to change, fast food as a whole has to find a way to get their value equation back on track. For some brands, it might not happen fast enough, because today, the customer has clearly spoken. The current experience is simply not worth the price. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more like it. And if you're interested in franchise ownership yourself, get in touch via our website.